seen in that plane. All right, in the meantime, we now have 5 budget plans on the table in Washington, but it still looks scary to a lot of folks because generally none of them is given chance of passage. If you've been watching me trying to broker a budget deal with both parties this last week, you would know that we're not really making much progress here because no one's giving an inch here. So do we need a Thelma and Louise moment where Democrats and Republicans essentially join hands and take the budget plunge together? To Democratic Congressman John Garamendi of California. What do you think of that, Congressman, that you Democrats have to budge on this entitlement thing, Republicans might have to budge on disclosing loophole in credits and thinking that they're always going to be deemed tax hikes and they give you a revenue thing, but without that, nothing.
Yeah. I was just thinking about Thelma and Louise. We saw them go over the cliff, but we didn't see the result of the landing, and therein lies the problem, Neil. We're very, very far apart. The Republican caucus is also split. On the Democratic side, we can clearly go for the president's budget. We can go for modifications of it. The tax issues are really, really complex. In the Republican budget, there's an enormous tax giveaway to those who have more than $1 million of annual income. There's like almost $349,000 of additional tax break to those who have $1 million income.
But what they say then about you, about you, sir, and I mean, it goes back and forth as well, you know, Congressman and his buddies, they're not really serious about curbing entitlement growth, and every time we stick our neck and try to address Medicare, Medicaid, we're pilloried for throwing grandma off a cliff. So here's my proposal, just to try to get the two sides to me.
Sure.
If you would be open to make more concessions on those entitlements, and the Republicans were to get over this idea that if you close subsidies, loopholes, special credits that prevent those from not paying their fair share of taxes, you're on your way, right? You're on your way past your talking points, right?
Well, I think you're correct. How do you accomplish that? Clearly on Medicare, we do not want to see Medicare end. It's an extraordinarily important program for seniors, but there's a lot that can be done in Medicare to curb the costs. For example, we ought to be negotiating, using the purchasing power of the government to negotiate drug prices. Clearly there's fraud in this by various providers and schemers and scammers. There's probably several $100 billion over a 10-year period in fraud.
But by the way, what the Republicans are saying, Congressman, is that Medicare issue is just as germane with the president and his plan because it effectively torpedoes Medicare down the road, maybe differently, but just as genuinely as the Republican plan. I guess what I'm asking you, sir, is if the Republicans come to you, I know, if Republicans come to you and say, all right, we're willing to look at these subsidies and tax breaks and take a bullet from the Tea Party members who say that is a tax hike, even though it's only benefiting a select few. We'll open that, but you can't rip us a new one when we go after or try to curb the growth in Medicare and say we're trying to throw Granny off a cliff. Would you do that? Would you both hold hands and say that's a start?
Well, you said something really important, Neil, and that is curb the growth in Medicare. That is exactly what we all need to do, and the Democratic proposal, including the...
You're not doing it. They're not doing it.
I think that's not correct. There's more that can be done to curb the growth, and I just gave you 2 ideas. There are many, many more. And actually this looking at the various costs in the system and constantly analyzing those costs as to their effectiveness of the treatment is exceedingly important. You need to do that over time. But what you do not want to do is to set up a system that ultimately will terminate Medicare and break the Medicare promise and guarantee, which unfortunately is where it is. But there is a lot of room in the Medicare system for controlling costs.
You guys hold hands and not end up like the car at the bottom of
Neil, you are so good.
I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve.
Yes,
Congressman,
you are.
it's very good having you again. Be well.
You got it. Thanks, Neil.
All right, we got Andrew Jackson, Abraham Lincoln, Franklin Roosevelt, Barack Obama. I'm going to connect on this whole healthcare mess. I want you to decide.
This is my